All right, we are officially live. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris. Happy July. We're getting close to the 4th of July, which is on Tuesday. So I have an unboxing for you guys. This is my 4 comics that I get and I send every month to PGX. I never know the grades. I don't want to know them. I always do it live so we can discover the grades together. This way, there's no trickery. There's no, trying to make either a company look good or look bad. No green screens, no nothing. I'm just showing it live. I share my experience, and you could like it or not like it. I leave that up to you. I'm never one of those channels that begs people to subscribe or hit the like button. If you do, that's great. I'm glad you're here, and, not for nothing. YouTube's been around long enough that people know if they like something, they're going to subscribe, and if they don't like something, they're not. So that is what it is. But with that being said, while I'm waiting for people to come in, is I always let people know I do not have any contract or deal with PGX. Never have, never will. This is all done by us having almost, well, I guess you can't say a handshake deal because we never actually met each other, but we just made an agreement where I will send in 4 books every month. They will press them, dry clean them, do signature verification if needed, and add the graders notes. I just pay for the shipping back and forth. They get free advertisement by me doing not only this video, but the video every month where I send my 4 books in and make the predictions. But I also want to make it so it's not just beneficial for me and it's not just beneficial for them. I want to make it beneficial for you. So if you want to use PGX, and if you do, like I say, I leave that up to you. But if you want to, as you could see in the live chat, if you send 10 or more comics to PGX and use the code We Love Comics Free Press, you can get one of the comics of your choice pressed for free. What I would recommend is if you send the 10 books in and you want one of them pressed for free, you should indicate in a note which one you want pressed for free. Otherwise, I'm sure they'll just pick one themselves. So if it doesn't matter to you, then you don't have to worry. But also, speaking of, like I said, with the graders notes, it was my idea. I talked to Daniel Patterson, which is the owner of PGX, about 2 or 3 years ago now, that I recommended adding graders notes as an option on the back of the slabs, which I absolutely have always wanted all the major companies to do. So far, they're the only one of the major 3 that have done it. But if you use the code We Love Comics Graders Notes, for $5 per slab, you can get the graders notes added onto the back of your slab. I personally like that. Whether you do or not, that is always up to you. But to me, I think it's a no-brainer. It just makes it more accountable for the graders. And also, if you're going to sell the books, you kind of have an idea, and the seller or the buyer has an idea of what may be wrong with the book. Because unlike I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of videos where somebody will look at the comic that they're going to get graded or have already gotten graded, and they'll look at the front and back cover, they'll look at the edge and the spine and say, oh, I can't believe it's this grade. Forgetting the fact that there are also pages inside the book, there are staples, there could be page 27 has some writing on it. So grading is not just a cover. So keep that in mind. If somebody is watching somebody's video and they're expecting all 9.8s and one comes back at 9.4, well, the centerfold could be partially detached. There could be rusty staples. There could be a tear. There could be a coupon missing, Marvel value stamps, things like that. So you got to keep those things in mind when you are grading books or getting books graded. So I like the fact that you can add the graders notes to the back of the book, so this way you know when that book is slabbed what's wrong with it. Now, of course, if you want the graders notes for free, you can email them and they'll send them to you via email. But I like them on the back of the slabs. So and I like that it's an option. So if you want to take that option, use that code, and make sure if you send in your books and there's more than one, well, actually, you don't have to worry about the graders notes. I mean, well, then again, if you only want 1 or 2 of them with the graders notes, make sure you indicate which ones. All right, so with that being said, I've gotten that all out of the way. We got 13 people watching, so thank you for that. 3 people have liked it already, so I always appreciate that. Let's say hello to some of the people in the live chat, because we want to encourage people to enter the live chat. You don't have to be a subscriber to do it. I don't click that button because there is an option where you can let only subscribers do it. And to me, that makes no sense. So Dale Hector is here. Jeshua Perez, good to see you. Constipated in Sin City. Absolutely love that name. Welcome, gentlemen, and I hope you enjoy this video. And as you can see on the screen, that thumbnail that you see, the image before you, is one of my AI arts that I do. All of my thumbnails, except for the last video I did the other day, I make my own AI art, so I would always love to hear what you think about it. I just thought I'd make something ridiculous, a bunch of aliens singing karaoke. I am, of course, a karaoke DJ, so I just thought that would have been funny to show. But let's get into what you're here for. Let's put on the video camera. All right, so it's been a little while. It's been about a month and a half, 2 months, I believe. Maybe 2 months, I think, is the max, which still isn't bad if you consider it. I've seen people from other companies waiting 8, 9 months. I've heard people waiting up to a year for their books. So a delay with PGX meant instead of a month and a half, I had to wait 2 months. And I don't pay for the extra, expedited shipping. I just use their regular service. So I'm getting these back, quote unquote, delayed in 2 months without having to spend an extra dime on speedier grading services. So keep that in mind. PGX is the cheapest of the 3 major grading companies. They are also the ones that have in-house pressings and dry cleanings, which saves you from having to send it somewhere else. They don't do the pressings in the typical way with like that kind of, you see that thing that they use in dry cleaning services. They do it in a literal dry cleaning pressing. So this way there's not any water getting on the book, which could, potentially cause mold down the line, or, if it's done improperly, could damage your book. And if you've seen my books, I've never once seen a pressing job done bad with them. So even if you don't want to get your books graded from PGX, you can send them there and just say, I would like whatever comics you send to just get pressed. They will do that for you. So if you want to send them to get pressed and then send them off to another company to get graded, you're going to save a lot of money. And like I said, I've never had a problem with any of their pressings. They do an incredible job with it. Very happy with it. They also do signature verification. So if you have a book that's already been signed, you could send it in to them. They will verify the signature as authentic. If you send an already signed book to CGC, it will come back a green label that will state name written on cover or on page 1 or whatever. And, green labels tend to sell a lot less, because I've shown many examples where I bought online on eBay a 9.8 version of a comic that was signed but had the green label, paid about half of what it's worth, cracked it open, sent it to PGX, got it regraded, which verified the signature, and like I said, I paid half. Now that doesn't happen all the time, but that's why I tell people, don't go by some channels that will absolutely only promote nothing but positive on one company and negative on another. And I'm not just talking comics, I'm talking about any company. Because no company is perfect, and no company is Satan incarnate. So there's always a middle ground. So what I always recommend is, go not based on what's popular or what other people say you should do. Go by your own experience and give every company a chance. Now, with that being said, you can have the same company that you've gone to for 25 years. It only takes one bad experience to ruin 25 years worth of good service. So, every company is going to make a mistake. There is not any grading company that's out there that there isn't a video where somebody got screwed over or messed up or something. So it's not just one company, it's not just 2 companies. Every single company on the planet is going to do something wrong at some point. It's what they do afterwards that determines what they are all about. Because mistakes can happen, situations can arise that was beyond somebody's control. Go with your own experience, not by what other people say. That's why I don't tell people you have to use PGX. I've told people all the time, CGC is the #1 company, but that doesn't mean PGX doesn't have a place in the business. So use it for if you want your books back faster. Because one of the biggest arguments, and I'll open this up quickly because some people like this stuff. One of the biggest arguments I hear all the time, and it's most of the time true, that they say that, well, I get my books graded by CGC because CGC books will sell more than PGX books. And 9 out of 10 times you're right. But like I've said before, there's an old saying in business, time is money. if I get my books back without having to spend extra money, which decreases the amount of profit I would make, I get them back, let's say, in 2 months. And let's say it's a book that's based on a one-and-done character or a one-and-done situation, like Captain America lifting up Thor's hammer. Well, if I get my book back about, let's say I send it in June, and let's assume that the movie came out in July. Okay? Well, let's say I sent it in May, and the movie comes out in July. And you send your CGC books to CGC at the same time in May. Well, if I get mine back by July, when the movie opens, I can turn around and sell that book for maximum profit. If you sent your books to CGC, for example, and it took 8 months to get it back, by the time you get it back, that book is no longer valued at what it once was. So it is irrelevant that CGC would sell more, because it's all about timing in that situation. So that's why I say I'm not here for a popularity contest. That's one of the reasons why my original We Love Comics channels got destroyed, is I wasn't afraid to challenge what was considered the norm in the comic book industry. I like to challenge things and have people think for themselves and not just base their whole livelihood on what a group of people have from what they call groupthink. I want people to come here to understand, or like I always say, understand, that each company will have its benefit for you depending on the situation. Don't just be loyal to one company and use it every single time, even if it goes against what your goals are. So if you're getting your comics graded just to get them graded because you want to put them on your wall, or there's maybe a book that means nothing as far as monetarily, but it means something to you because maybe it was the first comic you bought as a kid and you just want it protected, well, why would you spend more money on getting that book graded? It makes no sense to me. And as you can see here with the box, there's only 4 comics in here. Look at the size of the box they use. Now, they don't always use this box, but they do it majority of the time. I've been doing this for over 5 years. Not once, knock on wood, has any of my comics ever arrived where the cases were cracked. Keep that in mind. That's another thing, because if you get your books back and you find out that because they didn't package it properly, the slabs got damaged, now you have to send them back. Now you have to wait how many more months? Now you have to spend extra money on the shipping costs and things like that. And, you know, the damage could have caused damage to the comic. Let's say you're 5.0 Amazing Spider-Man #1. The case gets cracked. You send it back. It comes back a 4.0 because maybe it got damaged in the mail again. Or maybe the crack itself damaged the comic. You're talking thousands of dollars. So you got to think in more ways than just one dimension in a 3-dimensional world. You know, in a perfect world, yes, the best company should do the best things in every situation. That is not the case, and if you think that way, you're basically just being a shill. And that's why, even though this is a video about PGX, if they do something bad, I have called them out. There is a video, well, they graded a book that I think was maybe 2 or 3 times what I really honestly thought it was. I cracked it open live on air because I didn't believe in that. So companies are going to make mistakes every now and then. Remember, grading isn't done by computers who are using lasers to make sure every single nook and cranny is examined. These are done by human beings, and humans make mistakes, or they have their own opinions. So, you know, you could send a book to the same company 10 times, and probably 8 out of the 10 times the grade will be different. So, you know, think for yourself. All right, so they're actually doing even more protection now. They've added these, I guess because of the one book in there, but they added these all over the front and side. So that's an amazing job right there. Then they have underneath packing peanuts, bubble wrap, and the brown paper kind of wrap. They have the comics themselves wrapped up in more bubble wrap. So let's get rid of that. Then the 4 comics are wrapped in blue cellophane so they don't shift when they are moving around, because, you know, they also include the bags, which, by the way, they upgraded their bags, because I'll tell you straight out, their original bags I didn't like, because they were kind of like, they only went up like 3/4 of the way in the back. It was weird. So they upgraded them and actually got they're kind of like the Mylar, so they're much clearer. All right, so here we go. So they have the blue cellophane, so these do not shift around when the box is being thrown around by a careless Federal Express or UPS or USPS Postal Service, because, you know, they don't care. They're just doing their job. And when you have thousands of boxes that you have to get out by a certain time, you're not going to be delicate like you would with your own stuff. So here are the 4 books. I already know what one of the grades are. It's not going to come back a surprise like the Superman 2, which to this day I'm still so blessed that happened. It's nice to get a win every now and then. But there is one, I'll save it for last, but I pretty much already know what the grade is. So let's start with the others. Now, before I show the grade, I will always tell people what I paid for it, what I thought the prediction was. Keep in mind, I always base my predictions on what I think it will be after a pressing and dry cleaning. And then we'll see if I was right. So I don't know if they put those, I don't feel those stickers, so I'm just going to cover it to make sure. All right, so we got the first book. All right, so this is Green Lantern number 40. And the video froze, so I'm going to hold on a second. I don't know if people can still hear me. All right, so there seems to be a little bit of a delay. All right, so let's go with the book. Sorry about that. So, you know, sometimes you just cannot control the internet. This is Green Lantern number 40. I bought this book, my wife, a couple of years ago. It's probably about 5-6 years ago, for either a birthday or Christmas present. I forget which one it was, but gave me a gift certificate for the local comic book store, because this was back when I was in New York, so that's definitely over 4 years ago. And this is one of the books that I bought. I forget what the other book was, but Green Lantern number 40, I only paid $12.50, because I remember I think I bought either 2 or 3 comics, and I didn't have the complete dollar amount to get this for free. But for $12.50, and this is a higher grade book. Now, I'm not going to look at the grade yet. It is first appearance of Kronos, origin of Infinite Earths, and the Guardians, and second Golden Age Green Lantern solo story in Silver Age. So there is some importance to this book. Now, again, it won't matter what the grade will come out, because, you know, paying $12.50, this could be a 2.0 and I would do well. But this was in beautiful condition. It's not perfect, but I predicted about an 8.5 to a 9.2 with white pages. So even if it came out a 7, I'll still be happy, but I think it's much better than that. So let's start out and see what the first grade is. All right, so there we go, a 9.0. So basically right in the middle of my predictions. I'm usually not that great with higher grade books, but this one to me was almost a no-brainer. And I'll show you the back of the book. I mean, for a book that has a lot of white, that could show a lot of dirt if there is some. And especially on the edge here, because, you know, people read comics, especially back in those days. This book is nice and clean. So I said, what did I say as far as page quality? I said white. It's off-white to white. So, you know, I'm perfectly fine with that. So to get Green Lantern number 40 for $12.50, coming back a 9.0, which is right in the middle of the grades that I predicted, that's a great start. So, yeah. Especially with the origin of Infinite Earths. Every movie now is about, you know, alternate realities and multiple multiverses and things like that. So for DC at least, this is the origin of where that started. And I mean, this book came out in 1965. So this whole multiple universe kind of thing that everybody's talking about these days is not anything new. They're just talking about it more. This is stuff that's been known way beyond this. So it wasn't just somebody making up a story. This is based on things that are plausible. We'll put it that way. But let me know what you think about that in the comments section about the first book. I'm very happy with a 9.0. It's nice to be pretty darn accurate with my grades. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a professional grader, so every now and then I'm going to be off. But I think like 9 out of 10 times, I'm right in the middle of my grade predictions. So I'm very happy with a 9.0 on that book. So that's a good start. All right, let's see what the next one is. Next book we got. Hold on. Oh, and I put the link again if you want to check that. And check my description for all of my videos because I have like a lot of different discounts that I offer. And also, if you're interested in getting one of my comic book mystery boxes, I still sell those even though I haven't sold one in probably 4 years. If you want to be the first, and if you do an unboxing video of one of my mystery boxes, send me the link. I'll make sure I post it so people can see it, and I'll subscribe to your channel if I'm not subscribed, because I love watching unboxing videos. All right, so this is Batman number 181, which is the first appearance of Poison Ivy. This is a book where you need to know about certain things in comics. In the centerfold, there is a poster. A lot of times, especially, you know, back in the 60s, when kids got these comics and they saw, wow, free poster, what do you think they did? They took them out and probably hung them on their walls or put them on their school books. So you have to make sure, if you buy this book, make sure it has the centerfold where it's a Batman and Robin poster. So that's important. And if you don't know about comics, you may miss out on that, get it graded, and it comes back a qualified. It definitely wouldn't come back restored unless somebody took somebody else's poster and put it in and they figured out that it's not the right one. But it's going to come back incomplete. So as you could see by the blue label, I don't know the grade yet, you can see by the blue label, I checked. And don't assume, because I'll share an example of a situation that happened. I've said this many times. But don't assume, even if you go on eBay or Instagram or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, even if somebody shows a picture of the poster, when you get the book, don't assume, well, I saw it in the picture, so it must be there. Make sure the first thing you do is open it up and check. Because like I said, back when I lived in New York a couple of years ago, I had bought a Hulk 180, and the person that was selling it showed an image of the Marvel Value stamp intact. When I got the book, as always, I checked to make sure, and it was cut out. So that person lied and made a picture of somebody else's Marvel stamp, hoping that the person would not check because they saw the picture on the eBay auction. And I got my money back. So make sure you know about comics. It's like anything, if you're doing it for investments, make sure you know what you're doing. Because if you're just buying stuff blindly because, you know, somebody else had it and you want it in your collection and you don't know about this stuff, that's the difference between a $1,000 book and a $200 book. Now, if you spent $100, you're still making a profit, but you got to be smart with this stuff. So as you can see with the blue label, I checked to make sure that that poster is in there. Now, with that being said, this is not a high-grade book. It's more closer to mid-grade, but not a 5.0. But I only paid $133.50 for this book. I predicted between a 3.5 and a 4.5 with creamed off-white pages, because this book has been read. So, you know, that's what people did back in the days. Nowadays, people buy new books. Oh, hold on, the thing froze. Give me a second. If I sneeze, the video will go off, so sorry about that. Alright, good thing I didn't reveal it yet. So it's freezing for a second, it will start up again. Alright, so like I said, I paid $133.50, that's including shipping and handling and everything. I predicted about a 3.5 to 4.5 cream to off-white pages. Let's see what the grades are for this book. 3.5. So there you go. It's the lower end, but I'm perfectly fine with that. So 3.5, poster is intact, which means it is complete for $133. And let's see, cream to white pages. All right, so I said cream to off-white, so I was pretty close with that. So yeah, first appearance of Poison Ivy and letter from Mike Fredericks. I'm not sure who that is because I don't know everything about comics. But one of the things, and I'll read the grader's notes. Did I do that on the other? I'm sorry. Let me do that before I do this. Because like I said, PGX will add the grader's notes to the back of the slab, and I totally forgot that. It says multiple minor stress lines along spine, and that's it. So, considering, again, a book from 1965, if I'm going to have the damage, and I've said that repeatedly, if I'm going to have damage on a book, I mean, depending on the book, I won't care on certain ones, like you'll see with my Hulk #1. That should be the next group of 4 coming back. I always want, if I can, I would prefer the damage to be on the edges. Because then, when it's slabbed, you're not really going to notice it. And I'll show the back, so there's no missing pieces. It is a little bit on the dirtier side, like I said, with white books. You know, that's to be expected. But, of course, you're going to have that allowed in grades that low. So, I said 3.5 to 4.5 was the lower end, but I was still technically right. I was pretty close with the pages. But there's there's going to be some more graders notes here, which I will read, which, of course, is going to be expected with a lower grade book. So, let's read what it says. All right, multiple creases and stress lines along the spine. Like I said, I prefer it to be there. Moderate cover, edge, and spine wear. Browning/Browning interior cover. Dirty back cover, stains. So there's a little stain. I don't know if you'll be able to see it there. Kind of almost like in the shape of a heart, but it's almost about this tip of my finger. So not a huge stain. There's another little stain on the bottom. It's like an ink. Oh, sorry. There we go. Right there. But again, not huge. So overall, looks pretty darn good. Again, they did an amazing job with the pressing. I'm very happy with the 3.5, especially for the price I paid. All right. You know what? I'm going to do the most expensive one because I already know what the grade is going to be. So I don't even think I have to hold it. But I still think this is a book worth showing. So we got... Oh, all right. So this is coming back different than what I expected. All right, so this is a restored X-Men 94. So I was not aware of that. And see, there you go. Sometimes you're going to miss stuff. So this book has actually been restored. What did I pay? $174.98? The seller never indicated that it was a restored book, but it's way too late at that point. But, hey, you know, sometimes that happens. So even at $174.98, which is basically $175, I predicted this about a 5.0 to a 6.0, off-white to white pages. But, hey, you're going to get those every now and then. And I'm not one of those people that's going to look like flabbergasted. You know, hey, you know, if I miss something, it is what it is. You know, I'm going to be honest, when I grade my books, I'm not going through every page with a microscope and a fine-tooth comb searching every single inch of a book. I mean, nobody does that. I seriously doubt the graders who grade the books in any company does that. So sometimes you're going to miss stuff. So let's see what we got on this one. This, again, is X-Men number 94, which isn't the first appearance of the new X-Men, but it is the first series of the new X-Men, starting at X-Men number 94, issue 93, and back down to, I think, in the 70s or upper 60s, they were reprints and almost going out. So if it wasn't for Chris Claremont doing the new X-Men, this probably would never exist, and X-Men movies wouldn't be happening. But let's see what the grade was. I predicted 5 to a 6. Survey says... All right, so it's a 6.0. So let's see. Minor color touch. Now, one of the things I always find weird, and this happens with all the grading companies, when they say something like color touch, they never say where. And I think all the companies should do that. Because, like, for example, I can't see it, and minor color touch, I mean, what are you going to do? Let's say it was just right here at the tip. Well, I could easily tear that off, and it would no longer have the color touch. As a matter of fact, I did that with my Batman number 59, first appearance of Deadshot. They had some minor color touch along the edge, and I just cracked it open, tore off the little part where there was, you could see it, the ink. And it came back, no longer restored. So I wish all the companies would, if there is color touch, especially minor, they should say where it is. Because if it's something like an edge where I could tear it off, you know, that's fine. But let's see what the grader's notes say. 1-inch corner crease in the front cover, multiple stress lines along the spine, cover, edge, and spine wear. So I have no idea where the color touch is. And considering, like I said, I'm not going to use a magnifying glass to look over the cover, good job on their behalf to find it. Because, you know, I want accurate grades. So it is a 6.0 like I predicted, but it does have minor color touch. I'll tell you, if I'm going to have something that's considered restored, minor color touch for me is no-brainer. I don't care about that. You know, there's many comics where kids wrote on it all over the place. So the fact that somebody tended to, instead of just writing scribble or writing their name, they filled in a little piece, to me, I consider that almost the same exact thing. But, again, I can't find it. I'll have to call them and maybe ask if they know. Probably at this point they wouldn't remember. But if it was something along the edge or something, I'd just tear that little piece off. But it is what it is. They found it. So, you know, they're not doing any special favors for me because they could have purposely missed it or not seen it. So that is a restored book. But again, at a 6.0, and for the price I paid for it, I paid, like I said, $174.98. Especially when the X-Men movies come out, and if they are not total SJW propaganda pieces, I will definitely be able to get my money back, if not more. All right. So the last one, without further ado, I really don't have to show the grade. Now, this is a facsimile cover, so it's not going to be coming back as authentic. If it does, I will call them out on that. But this, of course, is Amazing Spider-Man #1. When I bought this, people laughed at me. I bought this probably 7 years ago. I paid a grand total. It is a coverless book, okay? But, and the thing's freezing, so I'll hold off. Alright. The internet's going crazy tonight, so I apologize. But I'll wait. Okay, so let's try again. So again, this is a facsimile cover. I bought this coverless. But even with that, I paid a grand total of $454.80 for this comic. Okay? I've seen people selling a page of this book for $500 to $1,000. So, for $454, I'm going to be very happy with this book regardless. I think it will either come back a 0.5 or a no grade because of the fact it has a facsimile cover. But paying $454 for this book, I'm not worried about it. Because I've seen people selling coverless books. Look on eBay right now. There is a coverless Amazing Spider-Man #1 that is incomplete. And I think it's being listed at $3,200. You know, you're not buying this book for $454 anymore. So that's why I tell people, sometimes lower grade stuff, you could still make incredible amounts of profit on it. And a Amazing Spider-Man #1 at a 0.5 or even at no grade that's complete, or even a page of it, is going to sell faster than a 9.8 version of this, where you might be waiting years for somebody to come along and buy it. So faster turnaround means faster income. But like I said, I paid $454. You don't think I could turn around and sell this and triple my money, if not quadruple it? So you got to be smart when it comes to investments. I love how so many people would say, I would never touch a book like this. Well, that means I didn't have to overpay for it, and I'll make a heck of a lot of profit off of a book that I spent less than $500 on. So let's just reveal the last grade, and as usual, I want to thank everybody for coming and leaving their comments. 26 people watching, 13 people hit the like button, so that's a 50% ratio, so thank you for that. All right, survey says, okay, so it is a 0.3, that's new. I've actually never seen a 0.3. I think CBCS also does that, but I've never seen PGX do it. So there you go. That is new, which is actually I find funny because a couple years ago I did a tag video where you start out with your lowest graded book, showing each new book had the next level upgrade. I had every single grade, I think it's except for a 1.0 or a 1.5 or something at the time. I even have a 9.9 and a 10. And, of course, the computer's freezing. So I'll wait. Sorry, guys. I'm sure that will earn me a couple of thumbs down, but, you know, I can't control the internet or my laptop. I've tried everything to clean it up. So I'll just wait. I appreciate everybody's patience. There we go. But like I was saying is, I had that video, and I had every single grade, I think, except for one. I even have a 9.9 and a 10.0 comic. But I've never had a 0.3. And I actually prefer that over the no grade. The only... Okay, so I think they wrote it here. Okay, so I was going to say the only thing I had issue with was, you know, that it didn't say facsimile cover, but they actually write it on the front here. So I'll read what it says there. It's small print. Off-white to white pages. Did I write down pages on this one? I did say off-white to white, so I finally got one. Yeah, Jeshua 0.3 because it's a facsimile cover. CBCS does the same thing. If you were to send a coverless copy with a facsimile cover to CGC, I think it will come back NG, no grade. But CBCS, I know that they do a 0.3. So it means it's complete, but it doesn't have the original cover. It's a facsimile cover. So I actually prefer a 0.3 over the no grade. So like I said, CBCS also does that, but I've never seen PGX do it, so that might be something new. So I'm actually very pleased about that, but let's read what they wrote. So they did say off-white to white pages, but also, of course, Amazing Spider-Man #1, first appearance of the Chameleon and J. Jonah Jameson, first Fantastic Four crossover, Stan Lee story, Steve Ditko art, Jack Kirby cover. All right, so off-white to white pages. It is coverless. Facsimile cover added, so they did mention that. Staples removed from the... and the last 2 pages missing does not affect story. So these are things I knew about. I actually would have preferred if they wrote all that stuff on the back, but as long as it's written, I'm perfectly fine. So it is incomplete, but it does not affect the story. The last 2 pages were moving, and I did know that because the seller did tell me that when I bought it. I am incredibly happy. Like I said, I've never had a 0.3 before because I have a coverless CGC Fantastic Four #1, and they actually put it as a 0.5. So to me, that is perfectly fine with me. I would prefer a 0.3 over a no grade. So let me ask you in the comments section, do you think I'll be able to sell this book even the way it is for more than $454 when one page of this book will sell for $500 and up? That's why I tell people, don't go... I mean, of course, would I love a 9.0 of this book, a 9.8 of this book? Sure. You think I have $500,000-$600,000 to be able to buy one? $1 million to be able to buy one? Not yet. I'm only about $1 million away from $1 million, but hey, you got to go with what you can get, and you can also make deals from things that most people don't want. I love when 99.9% of the people that watch my videos will look at a book like this and say, I would have never bought that book. Again, that just means I don't have to overpay because I'm not trying to outbid 500 other people that say, I see the deal in that item, I'm going to get it. So I didn't have to spend tremendous amounts of money. Because I remember, I don't know what the initial opening bid was, but I know there was only one other bidder. And I won it because most people are not going to see the opportunity that I see in this book. So I got laughed at with my Fantastic Four #1. It's a CGC 0.5 purple label with a facsimile cover. I paid $350, around $350 for that Fantastic Four #1. You don't think I'm going to make money on that? And now I have an Amazing Spider-Man #1. It is incomplete technically because it doesn't have the last 2 pages, but it doesn't affect the story, so it's just advertisements. It has a facsimile cover, but I paid $454, and I own the first appearance of J. Jonah Jameson and the first Amazing Spider-Man in his own title. I'm perfectly fine with that. Maybe one day I'll get a 0.5. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a 5.0. You know, I have to win the lottery to do it. But at least I can say I am the owner of this book. And that's why I try and educate people into thinking differently. Yes, it's great to have higher grade books, but like I've said, and you could look to this day, and I've made this same fact for years. Go on eBay and type in Superman #1, and you will see, and go by the highest price. You will see an auction that's been there now for at least 6 years, if not more. That the guy has an awesome collection of Superman, I think 1 through 5, has not been sold. And I only found it maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Let's say 6. How many years was it there before I discovered it? And it's still there to this day. So that means it doesn't matter how valuable those comics are. If you are not selling it, that money that you spent on those books are in limbo. So let's say on the lower end, let's say he spent 20 grand on those books. Let's assume he bought them decades ago and only spent 20 grand for all of those books. Well, that's $20,000 that is in limbo doing nothing for close to a decade. That to me is not smart investments. If I put this up on eBay tomorrow, which I'm not going to do, but if I put this up on eBay tomorrow, I guarantee you I will triple, if not quadruple my money if I did it now. So, as I've said before, and there are some that dispute it, and they are entitled to their own opinion, low grade is better than no grade, but you got to be smart about it. I wouldn't spend, back then, 5 or 6 years ago, probably actually close to 6 or 7 years, I would not spend $2,000 on this book 6 or 7 years ago. Matter of fact, I think my highest bid for this book would have been up to $1,000. But because I saw the potential of where it was going, to me, it was a no-brainer, even though I had people mocking and making fun of me for buying that book. Because I tell people, if you are buying any investment, don't think about what the price is now. Don't think about where the price has been, although you can use that as a factor, based on where you think it's going. And to me, the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man to me was a no-brainer. And to be able to get it, even though it's a coverless copy and has a facsimile cover, even though the last 2 pages were missing, even though it doesn't affect the story, I truly felt $454 for this book was a no-brainer then, and it is even more of a no-brainer now. Because I guarantee you, if you saw this book on eBay for $454, you would snatch it in a second. So, if you want to listen to multiple channels on any investment, I'm not singling anybody out, because there's not just one person that only wants high grade. I've seen it hundreds of times over the years. So I'm not singling anybody out. If somebody wants to assume that, that's fine for them to do. Yes, it's great to have high grade books, but can you sell them quickly? There's a reason why businesses like Sam's Club and Costco do so well, selling things at cheaper prices, because there's a quicker turnaround. So yes, you might make a little bit less money for the sale, but you're making more sales quicker. Most people don't understand how business works, and that's why most businesses fail. The only reason my comic book store, well, the flea market store failed is because the flea market went under. If the whole pandemic didn't happen, and whether you agree with that or not, that's fine. If you want to get mad that I said a word that makes you upset, that's on you. But if it wasn't for that whole scenario and the flea market didn't go under, I'd probably not only still be there, but I would probably be one of the better comic book flea market stores in that whole flea market, but probably one of the better profit sales in the whole place, because when other people were making $30 for the day, I was making $1,000, $2,000 in sales. Because I know how businesses work. So, please, do your own research. Make sure you know what you're investing in. Don't base things on a popularity contest. Don't be intimidated to purchase something because other people may laugh at you. Because maybe, just maybe, they're not wise enough to see the potential of the future of something. You know, there are many people that made inventions that people mocked and said, oh, why would somebody want that? You know, when the telephone first came out, they were mocked. Why would somebody want that? When the TV was first invented, somebody mocked it. Why would somebody want that? It's the very few people that see the potential in things where others cannot see that far ahead are the ones that always will come out successful. So all of those books, even that restored surprise of a minor color touch of an X-Men 94, I'm going to make money on it. You have to be smart if you want to be profitable. Now, of course, if you're buying a book because you just want to own it, then that stuff doesn't matter. If you're buying a book just because you want to read it, well, then grading is not for you anyway. But stop listening to channels that are giving you nothing but negative or my way or the highway kind of instructions. It may work for them, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you. And that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons why my channel is one of the more hated or loved channels in the comic book community, because I tell it like it is, and some people are just way too sensitive to actually accept that their way is not the only way. They have the right to have their opinion, they have the right to have their own viewpoint, they have the right to speak their own mind, but that doesn't mean that their way is the way. In a world and multiverse universe where there is infinite amounts of possibilities, every way is the right way. So choose your own path. Don't let somebody else choose it for you, because they are not going to thrive at your win, and they're not going to suffer at your loss. You and your family and those around you that care about you will. So be smarter. Be wiser. It's okay to listen to people, even people you don't agree with, because sometimes you got to learn what you don't want or what you don't want to do. So sometimes you can learn more from your enemies than you can through your allies. But you got to be unafraid to be judged for your opinion, because just because everybody does something wrong and they do it together does not automatically make it right. And just because a few people choose to do the right thing doesn't make it easier, but it doesn't make it less right. So do what's right for you. Yeah, so there you go. I Like Donuts says a no-grade, raw Amazing Spider-Man #1 is going for $4,300. I paid $454. People mocked me at the time I bought it, and many people probably to this day would say they'd still never buy it. Okay, I'm not worried about those people. Don't listen to the negative Nancys, even if they have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in their bank account. Just because somebody has a lot of money in their bank account does not make them smart. Sometimes it just makes them lucky. Or there are people who work hard. That doesn't guarantee just because they work hard, they get everything right. And to me, I think it's the most ridiculous thing that there are people out there that will listen to people just because they have tons of money and believe everything that comes out of their mouth is gospel. And people wonder why this world is going crazy. Think for yourself. You can watch every single PGX unboxing since day one on this channel. Don't go in the video section, go in the live section. You can see every single one of them. Not one has been taken down. Every one of them is live. I don't try and trick people. I don't try and scam people. I don't try and make a video in the favor of a company or a comic. I just share an experience. And I'll tell you something, I would rather have 22 people, now 21, somebody got offended or got bored. By the way, 19 people out of the 21 have hit the like button. I love that. That means they appreciate what I'm saying. And I would rather have 22, 21 people watching that appreciate what I say than 50,000 watching because I'm the next popular YouTuber. I was much more popular 7 years ago, before my channel got destroyed by people that were basically jealous, because I was not afraid then, and I'm not afraid now, to call it like it is. And some people cannot handle that because they may appear tough and strong, but they are extremely delicate and cannot take anything that goes against their own narrative. And again, in an infinite universe with infinite possibilities, whether you're right or you're wrong, you're right. So stop listen to others, but make up your own mind. Don't let anyone else influence you in anything in life if you want to be happy. Not always easy. Thank you for watching. thank you to the 22 people that were kind enough to hit the like button. Let's go with today's surprise subscriber shout-outs. Super Neil, I haven't seen you in a live chat in a while, so let's give Super Neil Comics a surprise subscriber shout-out. Hoarder on the floor. And we're going to go with I Like Donuts 57 because he gave that information, taking the time to look it up. And that's why when I do my auctions, and I haven't done one in a while, and I'll probably do one again soon, who knows. I always tell people on my auctions, make sure you look on eBay and see what's been sold before you bid. And I don't want people to outbid. Because, yeah, it's nice to make money, and it's very easy to get somebody to get into a bidding war and spend $1,000 more than they should. But I care more about making sure somebody's happy with their purchase by not overspending because they were caught in an emotion and feel trapped. I want them to win that, say, I'm very happy at what I chose to buy it at, and when they get it in the mail, are continuously happy. But deals are always out there. Like I said, many people would not buy this book. Batman number 13. It's a green label because it's missing a couple of pages, but it is complete. What is it? Page 8, 23, 24, and 25 missing, but does not affect the story. So it's incomplete, 4.5. I paid $460 for this book. For Batman number 13. Many people wouldn't touch it. I'm glad those people wouldn't, because now I'm the owner of it. And if you don't think I could turn around and double my money on that book, if not more, well, you know, I've proven it many times with my auctions. So, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. I always love to hear people's opinions. Make sure when the video uploads, if you are kind enough to leave a comment. I love reading comments. I don't get many comments these days. I get more comments in the live chat than I do in the regular comment section. But I promise you, every one of them is read and appreciated. So again, I want to thank PGX for allowing me to do this. I've been doing this now for over 5 years. If you use the code We Love Comics Free Press and send in 10 or more books, you can get one of them pressed for free. You can also add the greatest notes if you want to. There is a potential deal with another company. I won't say who it is yet because I'm still waiting for them to give me the green light on everything. But there might be another deal coming, but I've been waiting about 2 or 3 weeks now, so we'll see what happens. But shout out to them if that goes through. If not, hey, it was still a good conversation. I don't regret anything, even if it gets turned off. Because, I mean, not for nothing, you know, most companies are not going to deal with somebody that's got 20 viewers. They want the people with 20,000, 200,000, 2 million. And I'm just not that person. And I probably never will be. And that's okay. Quality over quantity. And that's you guys. Thanks for watching. If you watch from beginning to end, I want you to put in the comments section, not the live chat, but in the comments section, I love rock and roll. Put that in the comments section, because that lets me know you watched the entire video. Now, you could be just watching this part and put that in, so I'll never know. But, you know what? It's just for fun. If you take life too seriously, you'll end up how I was in the last video. Sometimes even I need to be reminded of that. So, at this point, I'm ranting. Some of you love that, some of you don't. And for those that don't, you would have been off probably about a half hour ago. Thanks for watching, guys. Next video coming when the next video is coming. Don't forget, it is not you, it is not I, it is We Love Comics. Again, that's my AI art that I just made the other day. I would love to hear your opinion of what you thought of it. And the next video will be arriving when it arrives. Have a great day, and don't forget to have your friends spayed or neutered. I'll see you next time, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Keep collecting.